they're expecting an announcement from Ben Carson that he wants to run in the 2016 presidential race. Let's listen in.
And is my best friend, and we do everything together. She even learned how to play pool because she knew I was a good pool player. And she actually wins sometimes, but most of the times I beat her. But I should be careful.
I let him.
Huh? I should be careful because there's some media in here, and their headline will be Carson admits he beats his wife. But if you guys wouldn't mind sitting down so that I can introduce our sons. My oldest son, Murray, and his wife, Lerone, are right here. Stand up, please. Murray is an engineer, and Lerone is an analyst for a polling company. And my middle son, BJ, and his wife, Merlin, are right here. Ben Jr. And BJ is an entrepreneur, and Merlin owns a company that does placements, and they do a lot of things. They own a lot of stuff. Very cool. And then my youngest son, Royce, is right here. His wife is at home with the baby. Royce is a CPA, and they all three got married in 2011. So that's nice. Okay. Now I've introduced my family. You say, well, who are you? I'll tell you. I'm Ben Carson, and I'm a candidate for President of the United States. Thank you. Now, America remains a place of dreams. And a lot of people are down on our nation, and they want to point out all the bad things that have happened here. But have you ever noticed that there's a lot of people trying to get in here and not a lot of people trying to escape? It says something. And it was a place of dreams for my mother. My mother came from a very large rural family in Tennessee and was shuffled from home to home. She always had a desire for education, but she was never able to get beyond the third grade. And she married at age 13 with the hope of escaping a desperate situation. And she and my father moved here to Detroit. And he worked in a factory. In fact, I remember one Christmas being right here in this auditorium, sitting right over there. It was for GM employees. They had a Christmas program for the kids. But some years later, my mother discovered that he was a bigamist, had another family. And, of course, that occasioned the divorce. And, she only had a third grade education. And consequently, we were thrown into a situation of dire poverty. And she still maintained that dream of education. But now it was for us more so than for herself. We moved in with her older sister and brother-in-law in Boston. Typical tenement, large multifamily dwelling, boarded up windows and doors, sirens, gangs, murders. Both of our older cousins, who we adored, were killed. I remember when our favorite drug dealer was killed. Benny Boston Barrows, he drove a blue Cadillac. They used to bring us candy, so we liked to see the drug dealers. But the rats, and the roaches. You know, in the more upscale areas, they call them water bugs, but we knew what they were. But my mother was out working extraordinarily hard. 2, sometimes 3 jobs at a time as a domestic, trying to stay off of welfare. And the reason for that was she noticed that most of the people she saw go on welfare never came off of it. And she didn't want to be dependent. She wanted us also to be independent. And she decided she would work as long and as hard as necessary, leaving at 5 in the morning, getting back after midnight, day after day after day, doing what other people didn't want to do to try to maintain her independence. And she was very thrifty. I mean, she would drive a car until it wouldn't make a sound. And then she would go and collect all of her dimes and nickels and quarters and buy a new car. And people would say, how does that woman afford a new car? But she knew how to manage money. And I'm fond of saying, if my mother were Secretary of Treasury, we would not be in a deficit situation. And, you know, there are many people who are critical.
You are listening to retired neurosurgeon Ben Carson. He is officially entering the 2016 presidential race today, and that announcement being made in his native Detroit, confirming that he is running, talking about how he came from humble beginnings, but how education was always so important for him.